Hi, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Emmanuel Isaacson, and I'm here to help you to heal your anxiety naturally. So, on today's episode, what we're going to talk about is how sometimes, majority of the time, how our mind creates a certain reality that doesn't really happen. And we can apply this with our anxiety about, let's say, someone is afraid to drive or go in a car or go to the mall or go to certain places, right? Or even flying, right? And what is happening is our mind is creating this certain reality of how it's going to be. And most of the time, whenever it is creating that reality, what it's doing basically is it's creating a false negative reality. That's what it's doing. So, for example, when somebody's afraid of going in a car or driving, they're already thinking, oh, I might get into a car accident, or that I might faint while I'm driving. There's so many different thoughts that pop into their head that creates this certain reality that 99% of the time isn't really going to happen. But we're so focused on that 1%, and that 1% feels so real to us. It feels as if that's the reality, that's what's going to happen, and we base our decision on those thoughts. I'll give you guys my own personal example of how my mind created this false reality and how reality was different completely. So my wife gave birth a few weeks ago to a beautiful baby girl. And whenever we found out that she was pregnant, we kind of got stressed out. And the entire 9 months, I was really stressed out. I was like, how am I going to do this? How are we going to do this with a second child? There's a lot more responsibility now. I'm like, the first child, even though I love my daughter, my first child, I love her, but there's so much responsibility. There's so much that needs to be done. I'm like, how are we going to handle now a second child? And I was going just deep into thought of how many things that I need to do now, additional to what I'm already doing. I'm like, whoa, that's going to be a lot. How am I going to be able to handle that? And the entire 9 months, I was stressed out. I'm like, how am I going to do this? I was like, I'm not ready for this. And there's a second child coming. We have the first one already, and there's so much work to do. I'm like, you know what? Let's try to look at it in a positive way. Even when I try to look at it in a positive way, it didn't really help me to feel better. And whenever I did feel better, is that after my wife gave birth and I looked at my daughter, I felt this calmness all of a sudden. And it's already been a few weeks, and all that stress and all those thoughts that I had before of how hard it's going to be with a second child and this and that, it all kind of disappeared, and I don't feel that stress. So you see how the mind created a certain reality in a negative way, not in a positive. And even though I was trying to fight the negativity with positivity, it still didn't really help that much. And I had those ups and downs, but what did give me what helped me to calm down was that whenever that situation came and I saw how it actually was, how reality actually was, then I completely calmed down. And this thing is very, very important. So if you, for example, there's something that you are afraid about, something you're afraid of going to do, and because you have these thoughts that are telling you, hey, A, B, and C is going to happen. So let's take an example of the car. Hey, you're going to drive in the car right now, and you might get into a car accident, or you might faint, or you might get stranded, or something in a negative way might happen. So what we do is that we avoid the situation, and the only way we can actually calm down, calm down the anxiety, one of the best ways is going to the car and actually driving and showing the proof, like, hey, you see, nothing really bad happened over here. That really does help to calm down the anxiety the most. And we can use that as evidence for the future. Like, hey, you see, nothing bad actually happened. Now, you might think and say to yourself, but what if this time is going to be different? That happens a lot. But no, it's just like in the past that hasn't happened, so too in the future. And it's 99% of the time that nothing really bad actually happens. It's that 1% that we actually focus on that is determining our decisions in life. And ask yourself, what does that help you with? Are you happy with the life that you're living right now? Are you satisfied with it? Because fear just gives you safety. That doesn't let you thrive. It doesn't let you live a life that you want, something that you want to do. So let's say, for example, somebody wants to go to a different country. They want to go travel or they want to do things, but their anxiety is stopping them. Think about the loss that you're having just because of the thought that's telling you otherwise. Why not you tell the thought and tell it that everything is going to be fine and actually going to do it? Now, I'm not saying now get on the plane and just fly somewhere when you have severe anxiety. No, what I'm trying to tell you is take it step by step in order to get to that point, in order to get to that goal that you want. Because it is worth it. You are worth living the life that you want, and not whatever the anxiety is determining, not whatever the anxiety is trying to control and telling you what to do. No, it's whatever you want, whatever you choose that you want to do in life. So if you enjoy driving, start getting to that goal of driving. And again, you're going to have those ups and downs. If you enjoy going to the mall, try to get to that point where you feel comfortable in the mall, that you're fine with the mall. If you enjoy traveling, if that's something you would like to do and see other places, take it step by step that you can get to that point where you can travel abroad. As you see, of course, that it's going to take time, but the point is that it's possible and it's necessary, because right now the way you're living your life, you're not happy. And the reason why I'm telling you that without even knowing who you are is because I've been in your shoes. I know exactly how it feels and how it is to live that way. And I'm telling you, I've seen both sides of the coin, and you can build yourself in such a way that you can get to the other side of the coin and not even think about anxiety anymore. That's where I am in life, and I'm not trying to gloat over here. I'm trying to give you inspiration and some hope that it is possible to get to that point. And this is what's the point of this podcast, and why I even created a course, why I do one-on-one sessions, why I provide natural remedies so that people can get better. Because I know the path. I know how to get there, even though it's hard and it takes time, but it's possible when you have someone to guide you. My point over here is that your mind is going to create a false reality. Fear, what it is, it's false evidence appearing real. That's what it is. That's the acronym of fear. And our mind, what it's there, it's trying to protect us. That's what it's trying to do. And what we need to do is provide the evidence and provide the proofs like, hey, everything is fine. And most of the time, 99% of the time, what our mind is telling us of what is going to happen is not going to happen. And the reason why we believe it now and why so many people have anxiety more than they ever did in the past is because of the amount of information, the amount of access to videos on our phone from social media, that we can see things from around the world of what's happening, and most of it being negative has such an impact on our psyche. So we start believing that just because what we saw in the video, something negative, that means it can happen to us. No, it doesn't mean that it can happen to you. What it means is just that's what happened to them. It doesn't mean that's what's going to happen to you. It has no correlation with one another. So what we need to do is try to not believe and make the decisions off our own mind and our own thoughts of how we think or feel that a certain thing is going to happen. What we should be doing is looking at the evidence and actually going to try out what we want to do and base it off that. And again, taking it step by step in order to get to that goal. If you did like this episode, click the like button and please leave us a review, 5 stars of course, so that we can rank higher and reach more people in order to help more people that are struggling with anxiety, because my mission is to help as many people as possible, to reach as many people as possible that are struggling with anxiety and helping them naturally to overcome it. Take care, guys, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.